In the days before the Triton Poker Super High Roller Series, it's safe to say that Kenneth Kee was in the shadows on a global scale. Then in Jeju in 2018, Kee made 2 final tables in short deck events, including winning the 1 million Hong Kong main event for 2.8 million. It's safe to say that he's not in the shadows anymore. In this episode of I Am High Stakes Poker, Kee talks to us about winning and losing 7-figure scores. He talks about the troubles of ADHD, and he also opens up to us about how his adversity has led to the personality that has led to him becoming one of the greatest players in Asia in the high stakes poker scene. Kenneth Kee, welcome to I Am High Stakes Poker. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're here in Montenegro. Have you had a good trip?
Decent trip. Cashed in 2 events. Yeah, did pretty well.
And what do you think about this place, the Maestro Resort and Casino? Is it a nice place to play and hang out?
Yeah, I mean, it's really beautiful, obviously, the scenery, by the beach. So relaxing to especially in the rooms. It's the sound of waves and everything. Good seafood, good place, yeah.
Yeah, we needed that sound because we haven't had the weather this week, have we? We haven't been able to get out and get suntan.
Yeah, it's been raining for the past few days, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about where you grew up. Where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
I grew up in Singapore. Childhood-wise, I think average, I guess. My parents are divorced since I was 1 year old. I don't really have particular bad memories about it, but as growing up, my mom had custody of me. I was loved very much by my mom, doted on by my mom and my grandmother. But yeah, my parents still quarreled a bit as I was growing up.
Yeah, I've been divorced myself, and I've got an 18-year-old son who's gone through that. It's not nice, is it?
Yeah, but it's all about perspective. It's like nothing too serious, but I think it affected me in some ways, which maybe subconsciously it just affects me, but not something which I'm really aware of, anyways.
What, not having a father figure, or being involved with all the quarreling, which you don't want to get involved with?
Yeah, I didn't really want to get involved with their quarreling or whatever, but it kind of made me mature slightly faster because you experience all these things which you should only learn as an adult, not when you're a kid. Yeah, I'm the only kid in the family. I'm the only son. My dad did not have another child. I'm not really on particularly good terms with my dad now because of something that happened. But yeah,
divorce, one of the most difficult things to be involved in. It's horrendous for the mums, the dads, the children.
For everybody.
Yeah, but like you say, in the most tragic moments in our lives, there is some good that comes out of it as well, isn't there? In terms of how it builds your armor, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so, what was your academically in school? Did you fit into the school system? 'Cause I don't know what it's like in Asia, but in the West, it's very rigid. You have to go to classes, you have to do as you're told. This is the way you have to learn, and you either like school or you don't like school. Where did you fit in with that?
I did pretty well in school, but it was mainly the main exams, the big exams, because I did not know at the time, but I had trouble concentrating in classes and etc. I found out later in my life when I was 18 or 19 that I actually had ADHD. Yeah, that's primarily the cause of it. And my mom knows about it as well, but she don't know about what ADHD is or whatever. I didn't find out much later, but I did pretty well because I had good memory. I have really, really good memory.
Right.
And I could just basically study the night before and copy and paste whatever's textbooks on the paper.
Right.
Yeah. I remember clearly for example an exam a geography exam, which is a lot about memory work. People were finishing their answers in 3 pages, but I finished mine in 8. Because I was literally copy and pasting whatever was in the textbook.
Right.
Yeah, it's insane.
And I guess that helps you when you're playing poker, right?
Yeah, it does. It does for sure. It's one of my strengths. But ironically, math wasn't really my best subject.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess because that requires a lot more practice, and I'm kind of lazy generally.
So if poker doesn't work out, we can get you to do some card counting with blackjack. That'd suit you.
Yeah, maybe.
So just talk a little bit about the ADHD. So I guess as a child, you're getting into trouble for not concentrating or not doing what you're supposed to do because you're kind of like, how does it work out?
Yeah, I was always fidgeting in class, like playing with pens while the teacher's teaching, or I'm just falling asleep. At that time, I was frustrated as well because I wanted to actually learn, like pay attention in class, but I just couldn't. Yeah, and no one really, or rather, I did not realize that actually I had ADHD until much later, which was kind of it's kind of a waste, kind of, because if maybe I get my ADHD treated properly at the point of time, I would have done better. But I'm in poker now because of that. So
Yeah, you're happy.
yeah.
So you finally get the diagnosis from the doctors when you're around 18, 19.
Yes.
So like that, you're kind of like becoming a man then. So are we saying that the ADHD affected you in life outside of school as well as you were growing up?
Not really, but like sometimes when you have like conversations with people, my attention span only lasts for like that long. Like halfway through a conversation, I would like just not be able to concentrate, which I knew about it, but I didn't know what was the cause of it at the point of time. Yeah.
So our interviews can only be 10 minutes long then.
No, I mean, it depends, you know.
I better not bore you.
Yeah.
Do you want this pen? So you're getting treated for that and everything's okay. Does it affect you in poker?
No, because you get the adrenaline when you play poker. It's different. I'm not sure how different it is, but somehow I can just play poker for like hours and hours without losing focus. Yeah.
And when you're talking to your peers in poker, you know, the other people who play, do you find that there's other people as well who suffer from ADHD?
Not anyone that I know of. Yeah.
Right. So you're going through school and you're doing quite well. When does poker come into the equation? Can you remember the first time you started to play?
Yeah, I was studying for my diploma, my business studies diploma, and one of my classmates asked me if I wanted to join him for a poker game. I didn't even know the rules at the point of time. Yeah, I played. I lost, obviously. I think I lost a week of my allowance. Yeah, that wasn't so fun.
But you fell in love with it?
Yeah, I found it interesting, you know, like I'm very competitive by nature, and I really, really hate to lose. So losing the day made me want to learn more about it. It's interesting, and obviously I want to win my money back.
Yeah. So at that age, when you're starting to play, what was the scene like in Singapore? Could you play online poker? Was it just live poker?
I think back then you could still play online, but now it's already banned in Singapore. But I mainly played live poker for the first, mainly in my career anyways. Played a bit online later in my career, but started with live. Yeah. And
in Singapore is, like if I wanted to play live poker in the UK, I could just go into a casino, right?
Yeah.
Outside a casino, we can run our local games, but we're not allowed to, so we hide the money under the table and all that kind of stuff. What was it like in Singapore growing up finding live games?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's only illegal if there's rake involved.
Right, yeah.
If there's no rake involved, it's just like a friendly home game. I don't think you'll get too much trouble with that. Yeah.
Did you ever have any jobs, or did you just go straight from school to poker?
That's interesting. No, I did not really have a job. Like I guess it's also because of ADHD and my personality as well. I can't really take orders from people. I've noticed. I get really irritated, or like I just can't do it. I don't know why. I guess the only job I had was like an internship while studying for my diploma. Yeah, I got fired in like 5 days.
I was interviewing Tom Dwan yesterday. I did find him actually, by the way. So I was interviewing Tom Dwan about this, and he was saying that it's not that he couldn't have a boss, but it would have to be a boss that he respected, or he could work under, that understood how he works.
Yeah.
Is that similar for you, or are you just like, no, I just do not want a boss?
Yeah, it depends on like how you work together with somebody.
Yeah.
I just don't like being talked down to, basically, or like given instructions. And I'm not really one who's really into regimentation. So bad at that. I'm always late for school. I have friends that know me. previously. Yeah.
Well, you did good to be on time for this interview anyway.
Yeah.
On the not being allowed, not liking to be told what to do, have you ever found yourselves in situations in poker where this status hierarchy exists?
It definitely does. It's a very competitive industry. Generally, people are pretty selfish unless you are good. Unless you have a good relationship with somebody, or if they have like a common benefit, like they're benefiting from you, and then maybe they share some stuff with you. But there are some nice people in the community as well. Not everybody's selfish. Not to mention there are lots of like fake people as well. Yeah. But I think it's like this in the real world as well, not in just poker. Yeah.
Has that the fact that there is a status hierarchy, is that got worse or better since the Western pros have come over into your games?
I would say like Asian pros and Western pros, we both have our edge in some ways, because like some of the Western pros are not allowed to play in certain games. But yeah, just because they are Western, and the Asian VIPs only want to play with like the Chinese or whatever. Yeah. So
so you decided you never wanted a boss. You started playing poker. You started to win at some point, I guess. Can you remember when you knew that you was going to be a professional?
Yeah, good question. I knew I wanted to be a professional when I was doing it for some time and I was making money with it. There's no real turning back from then, because back then, like when I was studying, I could start to afford things which my peers couldn't. Like for example, back then when you were only having allowance, I still could take like taxi or could spend whatever I want. Yeah.
And what were your views and beliefs around money at that time?
I had to learn many things the hard way, because there was no one to guide me at that point of time, because firstly, poker isn't really accepted by my family and stuff, so I never have conversations about that. And in fact, my mom was very, very against me playing poker, because she just didn't understand what poker was. To her, it was just gambling, and yeah, it was pretty tough. I made some pretty bad decisions in my life along the way, like financially, whatever. Yeah, I was a big risk taker. It's a crazy story, but I was playing, my regular game was at like 510 Singapore dollars at the casino at the point of time. And there was a Chinese VIP who was a good friend, like an uncle to me. He thought I played well, like after playing with me for some time. And then when I was in Macau and he was in Macau at that point of time, he told me to go over to a certain casino where they had like a private game. I didn't know what stakes at the point of time. So I walked in a room filled with Chinese VIPs, and they were playing like 10, 20, 40K Hong Kong. It's insane.
Right.
Just FYI, 510 SG Singapore dollars is like 30, 60 Hong Kong or something like that. Yeah. I remember going at like 9 p.m. and then I saw some insane hands that went down, and then at about 4 a.m. This friend of mine told me, "Hey, do you want to play?" And it's like, okay.
Oh, so you was just watching?
Yeah. And then I was winning at one point actually. I remembered like the process of it. My hands were sweating.
Right.
Nervous. First time I felt that way while playing. And it's so huge comparatively to what I played normally, right? I remember I won at one point. I was up like 2 million plus Hong Kong. And then the game kind of broke a bit. There were only 5 players left. And I wasn't really comfortable because back then I was always playing full ring, like 8, 9-handed. And short-handed wasn't really what I was good at, or I hardly played short-handed at all. I wanted to leave, to be honest, but at the point of time, a lot of considerations went through my head, like, if I leave now, would I ever get a chance to play this again? But I didn't think of like the other side, where when someone gives you such a big shot, and then you should be more responsible and Yeah, and winning in the first corporation or whatever it is, it's such a good thing. But I didn't think about that.
Right.
I just thought that this might be my only shot if I leave now. I hit and run, kind of.
Yeah.
I didn't really hit and run, but like after the game dwindled down, I'm not sure how they would perceive me and etc. And I just continued playing and I lost. Yeah, I took like almost all my bankroll for that game. Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And how did you build it back up from then?
Yeah, so this was like the toughest part of my career. Not to add, I actually got scammed for this because back then the local games in Singapore, I had a friend who I met through a private game. He had pieces of me, but he was giving me like a juice. Like he was paying me like the profit sharing maybe 70-30 or something like that. This particular Chinese VIP friend, he gave me a good deal as well. But then I asked the other friend from Singapore if he wanted a piece because he was giving me pretty high juice for that. And small percentages add up in such a huge game.
Yeah.
You know? And he kind of replied in a gray way saying that I assumed that he wanted a piece. And then after when I lost, he said that he denied taking the piece. He basically changed it in a way where he says that whatever he said means something else, but not yes.
So you ended up losing more than you thought you was losing in your head.
I lost double of what I could afford,
Wow.
basically.
Yeah.
So I had to go back to the local casino games. I won money. By the time I was broken already because I was broken mentally. Like I had never gone close to like bust, and also this Singapore friend who scammed me. I mean, we were really good friends. Like we would go out clubbing every single week and etc. And it hurt me a bit. And now I have I've doubled what I have to pay back. It's definitely mentally straining. And then I picked up the bad habit of playing baccarat throughout this time. I remember I broke up with my girlfriend, and then one day I think I won quite a bit. I won like five buy-ins at the casino, but I just didn't feel like going home. And then I just walked into the pits and started playing baccarat. And yeah, it was a tough I can't remember how long, maybe like 1 year or so. I kept making money in poker, but I would punt it in some ways through baccarat. Yeah, but throughout this period of time, I'm always in contact with that Chinese VIP friend, and I'm always paying him back like slowly and whatever. Yeah.
Was there, with your father leaving when you were so young and you being an only child living with your mum, did you grow up feeling like a financial responsibility, almost like you're a father, like I need to help out my mum, I need to pay my mum money and that kind of thing?
No, not really. I was very fortunate because my mom's an amazing person. She was a great mom. I remember very clearly that she was having a job, and she was studying at night, and then she worked up the ranks slowly, but she was a very hard worker. She taught me really good values as well. She tried to give me the most comfortable life as she could by saving on herself. I remember very clearly, for example, we could just go out for a meal, and she would let me order whatever I want, and she would take the cheapest option.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's different. For my dad, it was slightly different, but I guess because he has a wife or whatever, and maybe he's under influence from the wife. But yeah, the reason why I'm not very close to my dad is because I cannot understand or I cannot accept that you would not treat your only son as well as how, I mean, it might be by just perspectives and whatever, but I think if I were him, I would treat my only son better than how he treated me. He didn't mistreat me or anything, but just that comparatively to my mom gave me everything wholeheartedly,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and it feels like listening to you that, the way that your relationship with your father went, there's a lack of trust. And then being scammed by this Singaporean friend, there's a lack of trust. And you talked about the values, your mum raising you with important values. What are some of the values that are important to you, first of all, and secondly, how do you move forward when you've been hit with these kind of like, I can't trust this guy, or I can't trust this guy? You know,
Yeah.
how does that affect your life?
Firstly, I think integrity is very important, especially in the gambling industry. If you don't have a good reputation, you basically can't go anywhere in this industry. And I used to think that one of my personality traits which are good is kindness, but it hasn't really worked out for me, this kindness personality trait. I'm kind of soft-hearted some spots, but I realized that you can't be that soft-hearted in many certain ways, or people will take advantage of you. I've been taken advantage of like many times by different people in different spots.
What do you think about purpose? Do you ever think about why you exist, what it is that you're trying to get out of poker, you know, those type of things?
I mean, poker at the start was just a hobby, and I ended up making money from the hobby, but at this point of time, it's just the money, really.
Right.
Yeah. I have some friends with different views. Like, I have a professional poker player friend who stopped playing poker completely, and he's doing other things now, like coaching, not only like poker, but like coaching like in life and whatever. And he told me that I asked him why is he doing this, and he told me that he feels that as poker players, you're taking something out from the community,
right, by
winning somebody else's money or whatever, and he wants to do more for the world. I don't really see it. I mean, I agree with like the part of like doing something for the world. Be it, you can still do something for the world, like be it charity. It doesn't have to be like only monetary. You could go for like trips to help out the kids, teach the kids or something like in Africa or whatever, you know. But like, as for taking money out of the community, everybody spends in some ways, right? Like the VIPs or whatever, they are spending for entertainment, and we are putting in the time as well. It's not as though we are scamming them or whatever. And there's always a chance if poker is a pure skill game, they would lose for sure. But there's chances that VIPs can win or whatever as well. I don't know why he thinks poker is like a really bad thing. As in now he thinks so, anyways. Yeah.
How would you feel if your son wanted to play poker?
I would not let him play poker.
Why not? Is it because it's so difficult?
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work, contrary to what people think. And you know, it's funny. Like, I realized, because initially I really like the freedom of it, because there's no like regimentation. Kind of, you can play whenever you want or whatever. But as you get like really good, like afterwards, and start making money, and it's hard to set out a game where there's like a good spot, even though you want to take a break a day. You feel like you're losing out in some ways.
Yeah.
So initially I thought it was freedom, but you kind of become like a slave to it, and it's very time consuming because it's a volume based game. Like how much work you put into it is how much you get in return, kind of, right?
How did you get over your baccarat problem, or does that still exist to a certain degree?
I made a promise to myself ever since my wife gave birth to my son that I would stop, and yeah, I kept the promise, to myself, and it's just pointless because I rather take the money and invest in something else. As in, what's the point? I basically had bad emotional control, and not to blame on ADHD. I'm just saying that because of ADHD, I have an impulsive problem. Like sometimes in poker as well. Yeah. You know, like I stopped basically, but it was a bad habit. I mean, I lost like not comparative to other people, it's not that much, but I lost like $1 million. You know, that what could I do with $1 million for my family? Quite a lot, right? Yeah. So especially when you know that you have an edge in the games that you're playing and how good you are, and the skill side of things. I actually played baccarat because back then in the local casino the games were small, right? And I made X amount of money, which was like way enough for the games at the casino.
And this was at a time as well when you was in a hole, right? So
Yeah.
so all of a sudden baccarat becomes I can use this money to get out of my hole.
Yeah. There were no bigger games at that point of time, and I didn't really have anybody to guide me in life, as in like what you should do with the money. You know, like I was basically like a lone ranger per se at that point of time when I was playing the local games at the casino.
And when you look around now at the, you're in this high stakes kind of like movement or community.
Yeah.
What is it what are some of the commonalities that everybody has? So if someone's looking into this video and they want to get better and they want to achieve the top, what are some of the things that people have in common, do you think?
You have to be a hard worker, to study your game, and to study the game, etc. Be really good at the fundamentals, because firstly, you really need good fundamentals to make the mathematical right decisions when deciding to call or fold, or but also you need to have some sort of high intellect really to play this game, because if it's just following a textbook way of playing, everybody could do it. You know what separates the really successful high stakes poker players is that they think outside. They think of different ways to win it, and they have very good dissecting skills or analytical skills of like what's going on, every action, etc. And I guess you have to have some sort of really high threshold or disregard for money in some ways when playing like really high stakes. Yeah.
How did it feel to win the main event in Jeju?
Yeah, it felt really great. I mean, I haven't been playing short deck for like a long time, maybe about like a year and a half since I first played. But even throughout this 1.5 years, I haven't been playing a lot of short deck, to be honest, because I play like Hold'em cash games. Yeah, but I did pretty well. Maybe I ran pretty good at the short deck cash games before, because only after when I really got down to like studying it more, I realized that I didn't know about so many things. Yeah, and yeah, it felt really good to win the tournament. In some ways, it hurt me, and it hurt me a bit as well. Like it costed me some opportunities to play in certain games. Yeah,
because people now perceive that people now know you're good.
Yeah.
It's funny because like when you're playing in the cash games, there's no glory, is there? It's just a grind, right? And then you win a tournament and everyone wants to take your photograph, and you see, how did the glory side of it feel?
The only good thing about it was that my mom became fully supportive, because she can see for herself like what's going on. Before then, I've never played on camera or whatever, and yeah, that was the only good thing about it, I guess, and the money, of course.
It's almost like it adds some credibility, doesn't it? Because your mum must be thinking, oh wow, like there's a video and his face is in this image, and he's got a trophy, and it adds credibility, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
What do you think a childhood Kenneth Kee would think about you if he was here now, like, and knew what you've done and what you're doing?
I think I did a good job, like, honestly. It was tough. I had many problems with myself. I had to overcome them. Yeah, but it's a learning process. Like, there isn't something new about yourself every day, kind of. It's just a matter of having the discipline and being determined to fix whatever leaks that you know you have in life. It's easier said than done, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I was repeating like the same mistakes for a long period of time. Yeah, and I finally overcome it by just discipline, basically. Yeah.
And how does playing high stakes poker make you feel?
Honestly, I have quite a high threshold for like swings and whatever. I guess it was because of like the first really big game I played. Since then, I had like no fear. Yeah, and because I went bankrupt. But now, I mean, when I say no fears, it's also because like I practice good bankroll management. Like whatever I'm willing to risk at the point of time, I do not feel anything about the money I'm willing to risk. But at the same time now, obviously, like I would pick better spots because I have a family now, and you gotta be responsible. When I was younger, you could take all the risks that you want because you really didn't have any responsibility in some ways. But as you get older, it really changes your perspective. Like, definitely you would practice way better bankroll management. You always keep aside a certain amount of money, and you can do whatever you want with the rest. Back then, it wasn't like this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, is my kid going to go to university? What are they going to do when they buy the first house? How am I going to help them out? That type of stuff.
Yeah. But the high stakes poker community is pretty good in general. Like the guys are all really friendly. Some are more selfish kind of than others, but it's normal because you're competing against each other. You wouldn't want to share whatever you think and whatever. But generally, I think it's a good environment because there are not many shady people in the high stakes community. At least, like there's a certain group which everybody has like good integrity. So you don't really have to worry about many other things that you have to worry in other circles, basically.
And no more sweaty hands.
Sometimes.
Kenneth, thanks for being a guest on I Am High Stakes Poker. I really appreciate it. Thank you.